What's going on, everybody? We are going to be going over this awesome PVE Dragonknight Stamina build that I have recently come to love. Now listen, I know that Gold Road is coming out very soon, but the thing is that you can still make this very relevant with the new patch coming out. And I've been looking online trying to find stamina builds that are good for the Dragonknight for PVE, and I feel like there's just really not a whole lot out there. So I wanted to bring this to you guys so that way if you're new to the Stamina Dragonknight, or even if you're, a seasoned player, and you might learn something from this, or you might be able to tweak your build to make it just a little bit better. My Stamina Dragonknight, I don't want to just mess around. I want to get straight into it, right? So these are my stats. If you go over attributes, I put all 64 into stamina, because the more stamina you have, obviously the more damage that you do. And if you look at here, our recovery really isn't that horrible. Yes, it's below 1,000, which is kind of rough, but if you use pots, which we'll go over that here in a little bit, it raises that up. And you'll find out with the Dragonknight, you have a lot more sustain than what you think based off of just being a Dragonknight. So our weapon damage is a little bit lower than normal, but here's the thing, is that I don't have fully maxed out gear, and this will just show you how much it can really shine even if you don't have fully maxed out gear. Our resistances are 1500 because we're wearing complete all medium pieces, and everything is just going to kind of go into in sync. So the first thing that we want to use is our monster set. We're going to be using Storm Fist Mask. Okay, what this is going to do is it's going to give you one piece of stamina recovery, so that's going to help you with obviously sustain and stuff for those long drawn out fights, and it's just going to help boost up your character just enough. Now the two pieces where you really get a lot of the damage. So whenever you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to cause a Thunder Fist to crush the enemy. This is going to deal shock damage every 1 second for 3 seconds to all enemies within 4 meters, and the final is going to do a monster 13,768 physical damage when the fist closes. So this skill is actually really cool. If you pay attention here, we will kind of dive into it. I'll show you right there. See the fist? Boom, and then it does a big monster hit at the end. Okay, that is what Storm Fist is. It helps give more damage, and it does a little bit of overtime damage, because we're going to be stacking a ton of dots and a ton of damage with that. So that's going to be one of your biggest hitting skills, or it's not even a skill, it's biggest hitting abilities. I don't even know what you want to call it, monster set ability, whatever, but that's where you're going to be getting a lot from. Now for the main piece, we're going to be going Venomous Jack. All right, what this gives is 2 lines of critical chance, and then the 4 piece gives you weapon and spell damage, so you're going to be bumping your damage up even higher. But where you get this is dealing critical damage inflicts Hunter's Venom on your enemy for 10 seconds, dealing poison damage to the target and enemies within 6 meters. So it's an AoE poison, right? And it's doing 3,095, which, doesn't really sound like a whole lot, but over time, that is huge. Now, this effect can occur once every 15 seconds, and it does scale off your weapon or spell damage. Now, this is just one of the many dots that we're going to be putting on every single monster. So that's why this is very good. You can literally run this from day one to the end of the character, however long that you want to run this. This is a solid weapon, or solid set to wear on your Stamina Dragonknight. Now for the next piece, we got the old Pillar of Nirn. Okay, this is going to give us even more critical chance, 2 lines of critical chance, so we're bumping that crit rate up because we want critical rate, because the more times we hit, the more crits we do, the more damage that we do. Even on like poisons and bleeds and things like that, they crit. So if you crit, you will be doing even more damage. Now, where you get a lot of your damage is you create a fissure underneath the enemy after 1 second, dealing bleed damage to all enemies within 2.5 meters. So you have another AoE bleed. Okay, now they bleed for an additional 9,955 bleed damage over 10 seconds. This can occur once every 10 seconds. So this is constantly up. Okay, you're going to be constantly having this roll. They're constantly going to be ticking on the enemy, and you're going to be doing tons of damage. Now, why is that so good? Because, once we get into our skills and we kind of go over that a little bit, you're going to be seeing that we're using Noxious Breath. and that is going to give them major breach, which is reducing their physical and spell resistance, which is going to cause you to do even more damage, but we're not going to get all into that right now. Now, for the daggers, I have Pillar of Nirn daggers, 2 sets of daggers. Now, like I said, this set isn't completely optimized yet, but I've noticed how good it can really do, and not being optimized, it's even pushing better than my other gold gear, which, give me 1 second. Now, I have the front bar sharpened. If you can, you want this front bar to be Nirn honed. Then the back bar I have infused, but you want it to be charged. Okay, that is the main thing that you want. But if you don't have, the proper, traits, you can pretty much just run what you want, and it will still perform very, very good. Okay. For the Venom's Jack, like I said, we got medium on the waist, medium on the feet, medium on the gloves, and medium on the guards. So then we have our jewelry, which is all Nirn, and then our weapons. So that gives us the 2-piece. We got the Venomous on the front bar, we got the Storm Fist, and then we got the Pillar of Nirn on the front bar as well. Now, whenever we go to the back bar, this is where it kind of gets a little bit sticky. You do have a couple options here. Now, if you want to, you could get a Pillar of Nirn, 2-handed sword, which, would make it so you proc the poison or the bleed constantly on your back bar as well. But the back bar is more of just like a buffing and thing like that. But what I run is the Maelstrom Battle Axe. Okay. Now, what this does is whenever you critically charge, you bolster, you get it stirs up a barbarous lust of battle within you for 18 seconds, and this increases the damage of your direct damage abilities by 312 up to a maximum of 560. So this is just going to pump your damage up even higher whenever you use any skills in your back bar. Now, what you could run as well, you could do the 2-handed Master's Greatsword, because we do have cleave on our bar, and if you're in like trash mobs and stuff like that, you can use this, and it will bump your cleave up, significantly, so you're doing a lot more AoE damage. It's up to you. Really, you got to just take it for whatever you're doing, at that point. Now that we've kind of gone over gear, that's what we're running with gear, is we want to get into the skills. The skills are super important here, okay? Just hear me out. On the main bar is we want Molten Whip, because this is going to give us, so every time you do damage with any of your skills like Flames of Oblivion, it's going to give you a stack for Molten Whip. You want to just kind of hold on to this until last, because your last whip will do more damage. It will give you an extra 100 weapon and spell damage. It stacks up to 3 times. Then you do a whip, and then you kind of got an extra strong whip. But that is, that's just kind of how, how Molten Whip works. I think everybody by now knows that. But the thing is here, I actually want to start on my back bar, and the reason is because you're going to always pretty much start on your back bar. So we have Stampede. Now this is going to, like I said, it's going to make it so you do more direct damage from the sword that we have, and it's going to, give you, it's going to give you like a launch at the character or at the monsters, so that way, you can close the gap, because there's nothing worse than trying to run at an enemy whenever, you can gap close with Stampede. It's going to do damage, and after you reach the target, you're going to sunder the ground beneath you, dealing physical damage to all enemies in that area for 15 seconds. So it's an extra, physical damage, like kind of like burn slash just it's doing damage because you use the attack. So there's your first dot. The second one, you got Noxious Breath. You're going to exhale on the enemy. You're going to do poison damage, and you're going to do poison damage over 24 seconds. Okay, so you have another dot. So you got Stampede dot, you got Noxious Breath dot. But the thing what Noxious Breath does is that it puts major breach, and it is reducing their physical and spell resistance by 5,948. That's huge, because you want to make sure that they are debuffed. So you want to charge in Noxious Breath right away. Okay, now you got the resistances down. Now what are you going to do? You're going to Carve. Now, the reason we do Carve is it's going to deal bleed damage to the enemies in front of you, causing them to bleed for another additional 8,430 damage over 12 seconds. So we've done 3 skills. They've done direct damage, but they've also put a dot. So now we have 3 dots on the bar. Okay, hitting the target that's already been bleeding for this ability extends the duration by 10 seconds. So if you use this multiple times, you can technically stack it up to a 32 second alt. So if you find yourself in a position where you use it a couple times in a row, you're okay. Okay. So, and down at the bottom, you also gain a shield that absorbs. So that helps your sustain a little bit. You get a little bit of a shield. The next one is volatile armor. Now, the reason that this is such a good skill is it's going to release your inner dragon and you gain major resolve, increasing your physical spell resist by 5,948. So this is going to give you a buff to your armor. So you're going to be a little bit more tanky with this, and it's going to help you tremendously. So after that, you release a spray of fiery spikes around you, causing the enemy hit to take 6,434 flame damage over 20 seconds. Are you seeing where we're going here, chat? Are you seeing where we're going? We're doing another dot. We have 4 skills, 4 dots. Now they're ticking, right? Now you're like, what? I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense because you're doing crazy damage over everything that you're doing on top of your armor sets, and it's crazy, okay? Now, while this is active, you do return flame damage also to the enemy, so it's kind of like a reflect. Huge, so they're doing damage, they're dotted, and the damage that they do to you, they're reflecting back to you. And it's just all in all a great skill. Now, after that, we put Resolving Vigor on here. This could be a flex spot if you have a good healer in your party. You could, exchange this out for something else. You could go with maybe Dragon's Blood. Well, no, you could go Dark Talons. That's another dot that could, help out there. You could go Inhale. That could do some more AoE damage depending on what you need. And you could go Igneous Weapons to give you major brutality. You could go that. You could go Ash Cloud if you want to do some more AoE damage or heal as well. So there's a lot of flex options that you can do here. But me personally, sometimes I run into an issue where I'm like, oh crap, I'm about to go down and I need to heal. So I just use the heal. It gives me health over 5 seconds. And then it also gives me minor resolve, increasing my physical resistance by 2,974. I personally like this. Now, going on to the ultimate. This, in my opinion, is one of the best ultimates in the game. Beautiful, beautiful skill, and I love it. This is the only one that I use unless I absolutely need my front bar ultimate just for the sustain. But if I have a 500 standard of might, I pop this bad boy every time. The only time that I have issues with this is it sets down a standard of might, which does flame damage every 1 second for 20 seconds, and it applies major defile to them, reducing their healing received and damage shield strength, okay? But the thing with this is that's doing the flame damage. So you have the Stampede, then you have the Noxious Breath, then you have the Carve, then you have the Volatile Armor, then you slap down your Standard of Might and you're doing some more flame damage. Are you seeing all the synergies here with all of the dots? It's crazy. And this, like I said, isn't even counting the armor that you're getting from everything else. Do you see how strong this can really be? Now, your allies can also activate the standard and cause even more flame damage if they are paying attention. But you'll slap this down, you'll have all these buffs rolling, then you slap this, or you could put this down first and then put all your buffs on, and it will just increase the damage of everything that you're doing, because standing in the area increases your damage done and reduces the damage taken by 15%. Also, 15% is huge in Elder Scrolls Online. 15 extra percent, dude, just off of one skill. It's sick. So after you've done this rotation, you pop over to your front bar. Now we're like, all right, what are we going to do here, Dad? What are we going to do? Now you're going to be like, okay, well, I'm putting Deadly Cloak, because this is kind of the order that I run my skills. I'm going to throw down Deadly Cloak. What's this going to do? It's going to give me major evasion, but it's also going to put Protective Cloak of Razors, gaining major evasion for 20 seconds, reducing the damage from area attacks, because every encounter seems like there's some kind of AoE attack, so why not make it so you take 20% less damage, right? But the thing is that on top of it, every 2 seconds the shrapnel will pulse, dealing physical damage within 5 meters. Another tick of damage. Physical damage, yeah, this one's a little bit weaker with the physical damage, but it's just adding on to the damage that you're doing, okay? Now we're going to throw down Barb Trap, the next one. This is you're going to throw down a sharpened blade trap at a location, which takes 1.5 seconds to arm and lasts for 20 seconds. When it's triggered, the trap deals bleed damage, 4,944 bleed damage, an additional 12,340 bleed damage over 20 seconds. But all right, so then it grants you minor force, increasing your critical damage by 10%. So you're going to throw this down. You're going to be doing another dot. Then you're going to be doing 10% extra damage, which is going to lead us into the Flames of Oblivion. All right, now the Flames of Oblivion, what it does is it launches fireballs at 3 enemies every 5 seconds. So it is another technical dot because it's doing flame damage every 5 seconds. Now you're going to get 3 hits out of this. And you want to make sure that you do not use this too soon, because if you do, then you will really, stunt your damage that you can do with this, okay? You don't want to throw this down and then 2 seconds later throw another. You want to make sure that you use it one time, let it sit, let it do its job. But the thing is that with this slotted on your bar, you gain major prophecy and savagery, increases your spell and weapon critical rating by 2,629. So you're also getting extra critical rate just for this skill to be on your bar. Are you seeing the power of this yet? Now, then we come to probably the biggest bleed or poison damage ability that you have, okay? This is going to rake the enemy with your claw, dealing 3,812 poison damage and an additional 16,884 poison damage over 24 seconds. But here's the thing, the poison seeps in the target and deals increased damage the longer it lasts, dealing 12% more damage every 2 seconds. So you say, why is this so good? Because by the time that you get to the end tick, every 2 seconds it's going to be doing 12% more damage. Bruh, tell me that that is not dirty. So enemies hit with the initial hit are inflicted with poison status effect. So you want to leave this on there as long as you can. You never want to redo this skill, because if you do, you will cut down the damage, because the very last second of this skill does the most damage. So do not click this skill until it is completely done. After that, you have a fully stacked Molten Whip, and you are going to whip them with a stage 3 stacked Molten Whip, and if you crit, you're going to crit for a monster amount on top of all of the damage that's being ticked on your character. And you're going to whip, and then you're going to go back bar, rinse and repeat. Let me show you exactly what I mean by that, okay? So we are going to start with our Stampede. We're going to just boom in, we're going to charge, boom, okay? Normal attack, Noxious Breath, normal attack, carve, then we're going to go volatile. Now I don't have my ultimate, so we're going to switch bars. We're going to do the razor, we're going to do the barb trap, we're going to do the Flames of Oblivion, we're going to do that, and then whip right there. And as you see, look at all of those ticks. Boom, boom, boom. I'm not even doing nothing right now, and this thing is just going down. Look at that. And it constantly keeps proccing Stormfist because we're doing damage. It's constantly proccing the Venomous from our other set. And look at those ticks, chat. That's not even counting our ultimate. So if we throw our ultimate in there, it's even worse. Look at this bad boy. You ready? All right, we're going to literally, I'm going to Stampede, normal attack, ultimate, Noxious Breath, carve, volatile, bar swip, keep normal attacking, boom, boom, there we go, and whip, 21k whip. Look at that, still going. And we're just going to keep whipping in between. Normal attack, whip, normal attack, whip, normal attack, whip, bar swap, rinse and repeat when everything goes down. As you will see, we will kind of keep it going, and everything just kind of goes back in place. But we're not going to use the Venomous again until it's back up. Last tick, then we throw it on there. That damage is dirty. I'm telling, look at it. It's just going to keep going. It's just going to keep rolling. Look at that. Do you see the strength of this build? Do you see, boom, look at that 19k hit just by the Stormfist. That is where you're going to get your damage. All right, now if we pay a little bit of attention here, now I didn't do like crazy numbers, but the thing is look at Stormfist. Stormfist did the most because I didn't actually keep whipping, but if I would have kept whipping here, whipping would have been up here, and Stormfist would have been second. The Pillar of Nirn did 127,000 damage alone. The Hunter's Venom did 114,000. Your Venomous Claw with the clocking in at 101. Your light attacks at 91. The Standard of Might with the 90. The Flames of the Oblivion 82, and the Stampede. Just look at those numbers, dude. That, in my opinion, is just absolutely dirty. Now, let's say you don't have the Pillar of Nirn set, because it is kind of hard to get, right? I had to run a lot of dungeons until I got the 2 swords, or the 2 daggers. The reason that this one isn't Nirnhoned right now is because I don't have Nirnhoned on the dagger researched yet, but it is currently researching. Once I do that, I am going to be popping at Nirnhoned on one of these daggers. I'm going to be putting charged, and this will increase even higher. Also, I only have blue jewelry, which I do plan on getting that to purple, which, you know, that is going to help tremendously. But let's say that you don't actually have these sets, right? Let's say that you're still newer to the DK and you don't have, you know, you can't farm the Pillar of Nirn yet. Then you can go Orders of Wrath. Okay, this is a really solid set. It gives critical chance, weapon damage, critical chance, and then increases your critical damage and critical healing by 8%. So this is a very solid set. I did test out both these sets. Now, my Orders Wrath is completely decked out in gold, and I do actually have Nirnhoned on my main axe, and it only performed 300 DPS better than my Pillar of Nirn daggers that are not gold and are not at the best traits. So if you want something relatively close, I would start with Orders Wrath until you can get in there and farm the Pillar of Nirn. All right, so moving on to combat points. So as you guys know, the green tree is pretty much whatever you want. I've been recently doing a lot of fishing, so Breakfall, that's a pretty important one. You might want to get some Breakfall. And I went Wanderer, Steadfast Enchanter, Rationer, Liquid Efficiency, and I came up here just to do the Angler because I wanted to start testing out fishing. So honestly, I kind of switch these around a lot. Steed's Blessing is really important to have, but I don't have enough CP points in order to get this and to get that. So I took him out of Steed's Blessing because I didn't really care about the run speed at the moment, just because I wanted to see how fishing really was. So honestly, here you can pretty much do what you want. If you're a gatherer and you go farm nodes a lot, then I would just come up here and get Treasure Hunter and then get Master Gatherer and then get Plentiful Harvest. So that's a good way. If you come over on this side of the tree, honestly, this is more of like a Thieves Guild type of thing, where you can just kind of, you know, steal stuff. Escaping Guards wipes bounty and stuff like that. So really, this is all just based off of what you play and how you like to play the most. So switching around, I mean, it costs like what, 3,000 gold, and I mean, let's be real, you do a couple dailies, you got 3,000 gold. It's really not that big of a deal to switch it. But for Warfare, the blue tree, this is what I run. Okay, I have Biting Aura, increases your damage done with area of effect attacks by 3%. So that's going to help us with a lot of our AoEs, because everything that we pretty much do is AoE, right? So we're getting a 6% increase to our damage done there. The next one, I get Wrathful Strikes. It grants weapon and spell damage to your damaging abilities per stage. So we're getting an extra 205 weapon damage and spell damage for our abilities. So that's very helpful. After that, I have Master of Arms. I don't have this one maxed out yet because I'm still farming champion points, but we're increasing your damage done with direct damage attacks by 3%. This is going to help pretty much everything that you do. Very, very solid pick here with Master of Arms. Definitely would go that route. After that, we're going Thaumaturge. This is huge as well because everything that we pretty much do on the build is some kind of burn or damage over time ability. So why not bump it up as much as we can? So we're going to go Thaumaturge to be able to get the extra damage over time, give us another 6%. I think it's super, super solid. Now, if you're still just kind of learning with how this tree works, it's very, very strange. You usually have to start with one of these nodes. So we got 10 into piercing, and I had to hop over here and I had to get the 10 into, you know, piercing. So we got 2 precision and piercing to make it so we go up here on this side of the bar. This is more of like your attack bar. This is kind of like an attack bar. Down here is more of like defense, and this is more of like an healer slash, you know, something like that. So that's how you can kind of, you know, figure out how the CP goes there. Now with fitness, we have Bloody Renewal. Restore 300 stamina per stage whenever you kill an enemy. So this is going to kind of just help us with some sustain. It's going to make it so that anytime we kill an enemy, we gain back stamina. Just, you know, it's nice, especially when there's trash mobs and stuff like that. You can really spam a lot of stuff there. Boundless Vitality. This is huge. You really want to max this out. It's going to give you health per stage, an extra 1,400 max health. You know, you're already squishy enough, so you need some health to kind of help you sustain. After that, we got Rejuvenation. This is going to give us 90 health, magic, and stamina recovery. This is going to kind of help us out some, you know. After that, we got Fortified. I haven't got all my points into there yet, but we will be getting Fortified up to 50, and it will be giving us extra armor. Now, right here we have Hero's Vigor, so we got some extra health there too, And then we have over here, we have the Mystic Tenacity, which is going to reduce the duration of elemental status effects applied to you by 5%. So that's really all that we need there. And the only reason we got that is so we can get this Tumbling, which reduces the cost of dodge roll by 120 stamina. So that's the reason why I went that direction. Passive abilities. So everybody asked me passive. You just want to make sure that you gain all of your Ardent Flame abilities, all the passives here. We got Combustion, which is going to give us extra burning damage and poison damage. You restore magic and stamina, really big. Warmth, when you deal direct damage with an Ardent Flame ability, you reduce the enemy's movement speed, which is huge. Searing Heat, you want to increase the damage over time of your Fiery Breath, Searing Strike, and Dragonknight standard abilities by 25%. So that's going to help you with those abilities as well. And then the World and Rune increases your damage of your flame and poison attacks by 5%, because everything that we pretty much do is either flame or poison. So we're getting an extra 5% bonus damage added on top of that. Now, Draconic Power, this is pretty big here. We got Iron Skin, which increases the amount of damage you block. It's not really that huge, but occasionally you might be finding yourself blocking. Burning Heart, while a draconic ability is active, your healing received is increased by 12%. So whenever you go into volatile armor, your healer will be able to heal you for 12% more, which could be the, either life or death, and whenever you're running a dungeon. So very important. Elder Dragon increases your health recovery. So that's pretty big. We don't have anything right now, but if you put in Inhale or something like that, you could, get some extra. So whenever we flip on our back bar, we get the current, we get some health recovery, 258, whenever we have that. Any of these abilities are slotted, so on our back bar, we get that. Scaled Armor increases your physical and spell resistance. It just makes it a little bit tankier, just kind of helps out a little bit. Earthen Heart, here we go. Eternal Mountain increases your duration of Earthen Heart abilities by 20%. We don't really use many here, but if you did pop on Igneous Weapons by chance and change it out for Resolving Vigor, then that would technically last you a little bit longer. Battle Roar, when you cast the ultimate ability. This is the biggest thing that you could do here, okay? This is the biggest thing. Now, whenever I told you earlier about sustain issues, this is what helps you sustain as a Dragon Knight. When you cast an ultimate ability, you restore 50 health, 50 magicka, and 50 stamina for each point of the ultimate that you use. So, like I said earlier, if you have a 500 ultimate and you pop that ultimate and you are, let's say, low on everything, health included, you're going to be completely filled up with your sustain by that. So that's where that comes in handy. Now, Mountain's Blessing. When you use an Earthen Heart ability, you gain minor brutality for 20 seconds. So that's where that, kind of helps if you want to use Igneous Weapons. Helping Hands, when you cast an Earthen Heart ability, you restore 1,120 stamina. So, like I said, if you want to pop Igneous Weapons or if you want to pop Ash Cloud on there instead of Vigor, then, you'll obviously get the perks from that. The weapons, we do dual wield. We just grab everything in dual wield. While dual wielding, you increase your damage of abilities by 20% for the enemies under 25% health. So you're just going to be doing a little bit more damage when they're lower health. Increase your weapon and spell damage by 6% of your offhand. Really big. It reduces the stamina cost of dual wield abilities. So this really doesn't help us too much, but Deadly Cloak does cost a little bit less because it is kind of a bigger, it costs 3,251. If we didn't have this, it would cost us even more. So Roughen gives you 15% damage bonus when attacking stunned, immobilized, disoriented, silenced enemies. That happens quite often, so that helps us there. But this is the biggest one: Twin Blade and Blunt. Okay, so this is why we run daggers, is because each dagger increases your critical chance rating by 657. So we want to crit a lot. That's why we run daggers, because in my opinion, critical rate is better in PvE. But if you're doing PvP, then I'm saying that maces are better because of the offensive penetration. But let's say that you do get maces for the Pillar of Nirn and you don't want to keep farming Pillar of Nirn. Technically, that would work, okay? Any of them would work, but in my opinion, daggers is the best bet here. All right. Our two-handed bar, we want all of them in our two-handed bar. Forcefulness, your light and heavy attacks, they hit three targets at 100% damage. Heavy weapons, it grants you bonuses for whatever you're using. I personally like sword because it gives you extra weapon and spell damage. Boundless Blade reduces stamina cost, so another reduced stamina cost. Follow up, when you complete a fully charged heavy attack, your damage done with two-handed abilities increases by 10% for 4 seconds. So just kind of buffing up your damage every time you use a heavy attack. Battle Rush, increase your stamina recovery by 30% for 10 seconds after killing a target. This is huge. So if you do kill something with Stampede, you are getting a major stamina recovery buff right here for 10 seconds. That's going to help you tremendously with Sustain. Armor, we're going to be going full medium, so you want all of your medium passives here. You can read them, guys. I mean, I don't want to bore you all with all the logistics, but it just, you know, you get extra critical damage. You gain stamina recovery, which is huge. Improve sneak, which is kind of if you don't have a lot of skill points, you don't really need this one. Agility, increases your weapon and damage, your weapon and spell damage. We get a 14% increase there. Athletics, increase movement speed of sprint. So that's just kind of a quality of life thing. We don't really absolutely need that. The world, we don't need anything there. The guild, we want all the fighters guild abilities, because on our front bar we are doing a flawless Dawnbreaker. But the reason that we're doing that is because it's a cheap ultimate, and it does do physical damage in front of you, but it also does physical damage over 6 seconds. So if you want an extra dot on top of it, this is a solid ultimate to use. You could use Take Flight out of the Ardent, out of the Draconic Power if you want that one. It does do a monster attack, you know, a monster amount of damage. But personally, I think the Fighters Guild with the extra physical damage over 6 seconds, it's just the bread and butter, because you're already doing a ton of dot damage. So if you ever need some sustain, this is a cheap ultimate. Just pop it and then just keep going, okay? So you want Slayer here, increase your weapon and spell damage 3%. So we're getting a total of 6 because we got Barb trapped on there. Banish the Wicked, you regenerate 3 ultimate whenever you kill an enemy. This is big for those trash mob pulls. You're going to be running so much ultimate because of this as well. All right, but that's not going into our, we're going to go into our race here in just a second. So your Fighters Guild abilities deal an additional 10% damage, so it's giving us a buff to both of these. And then your Bounty Hunter, I just have that just because. After that, you don't need any of these. You want your Undaunted. So once you get this to level 10, you want your Undaunted Command, which is going to, every time you do a synergy, you gain extra stats. And your Undaunted Metal, which will give you just a little bit, of extra max health, stamina, and magicka. Because, we're doing full medium, but if you want to change it up and get this increased a little bit, you can. But I just like the full medium better for more damage. Alliance War, we have Assault, we have Continuous Attacks, and that's the biggest thing, is just to gain the Major Gallop to make our run speed faster on our horse. But the other ones really aren't that big of a deal. So, I mean, I got this one because you regenerate 10 ultimate whenever you kill an enemy player, but that's for PvP, so it really doesn't matter. The support, you don't really need anything here. Now, for the racial, you have a couple different options that you can do with the racial. I preferably like Nord, okay? A lot of people run Khajiit, a lot of people run Imperial for those, but personally, I think Nord is superior, and the reason is because of this right here. Okay, so this Stalwart increases your max stamina by 1500, but when you take damage, you gain 5 ultimate. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. So you have everything going with you to gain more ultimate, and I just want to be ultimate spamming like crazy, especially anytime a boss fight comes up, and I need sustain. All right, I know Imperial does give you the 6% reduced skills, but the thing is that if I'm spamming my ultimate every freaking 3 minutes or 2 minutes, then I'm sustaining just fine, and I'm popping out that extra 15% damage with the Standard of Might. We do have increased health by 1000 of frost resistance, which is kind of just like but it is a little bit, so it's not bad. And then the Rugged, we're getting a little bit of extra physical and spell resistance by 2600, which is super helpful. And the crafting, the only thing here that I'd really try to get is medicinal use. I don't have it on this character, but I do have it on my other ones. But this one will just make it so your potions last 10% longer. But speaking of potions, I personally run the Tri-Stop Potion. It just helps you to gain health, magicka, and stamina. And then you gain major fortitude, intellect, and major endurance, which increases your health, magic, and stamina recovery by 30%. And if you have medicinal use, instead of 36 seconds, it will last a little bit longer, maybe like 40 seconds. So, and if you don't have those, you can just go grab yourself an Essence of Stamina, just pop that bad boy on there, because it's pretty much all you're going to need, because you're going to be having a healer most of the time, and yeah, things are just going to be going. Or you can get the health. The food, I like to run Jewels of Misrule. Now, if you want to, you could run Lava Foot Soup. This will just give you stamina, but I like the Jewels of Misrule. It's pretty cheap. You can buy some and it gives you max health, but then it gives you the stamina, magic recovery, which is what we need, right? If you really want, you can go Smoke Bear Haunch, but I really wouldn't run these unless you were in like PvP and you were like dead ass going ham on everything, or if you're maybe running a trial. So I wouldn't worry about all that either. So another thing that you can do if you are running solo, I just want to throw this out there because there are some solo players. So let's say you're running Maelstrom Arena or DSA or something like that, and you don't have a healer with you, you can run the Ring of Pale Order. This is a monster mythic item. It restores 20% of the damage you do as health. This value is decreased by 4% per ally you're grouped with, but you cannot be healed by anyone but yourself, your pets, or your companions. So this is a big solo item. If you want to run that, you just take off one of these Pillar of Nirn rings, and that'll take your Pillar of Nirn off. You could take off the Storm Fist, because if you're doing a lot of AoE damage, you could just, you know, put a Pillar of Nirn shoulder piece on there and you're good to go there. But honestly, like, unless you need that healing, I would not run that because you have so much damage from the Storm Fist. But sometimes people need to do that, so I would just pop that off, put that other ring on there, Ring of Pale Order, and then I would just put a Pillar of Nirn shoulder on and, you know, replace that. So I watched the video and I forgot that I didn't tell you what Mundus Stone to run. You want to run the Thief for the critical chance. That just gives you more critical chance on top of everything else. So my bad, sorry. I'm hoping I didn't forget anything. This was my first ever build video, but everybody's been asking me on stream lately, what are you running? What are you running? What are you running? And I just really wanted to bring something that I could show you guys. Hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what's working for me. And I'm having a lot of fun playing with this build. Guys, we do go live on Twitch and on YouTube, so if you guys ever want to check out a live stream, make sure you hit like on this video right now, hit subscribe, and hit that notification bell. On the main page of YouTube, we do have our Twitch link, so make sure you check it out, and it's in the description. Guys, if you haven't yet, check out another one of my videos if you are interested in Elder Scrolls Online, and I will hopefully be bringing you another video very soon with Gold Road coming out. I want to be trying to bring more content on that. Thank you all for hanging out with me today. Have a great rest of your day, and let's go. Get it!